Welcome to Midnight Horror Channel. We would like to express our sincere thanks to all those who have supported us before. In the heart of Cluj-Napoca, Romania, lies a school shrouded in mystery and fear, Hoia Baciu High School. To the untrained eye, it appears as just another aging institution, its brick facade and ivy-covered walls blending seamlessly with the quaint, historic charm of the city. However, those who dare to delve deeper into its origins uncover a tale of darkness and inexplicable phenomena that have haunted its halls for generations. Long before the school was built, the land it occupies was part of the infamous Hoia Baciu forest, often dubbed the Bermuda Triangle of Romania. This forest, known for its eerie atmosphere and unexplainable occurrences, was avoided by locals for centuries. Legends spoke of ghostly apparitions, strange lights, and people who entered the forest only to vanish without a trace. In the late 19th century, as Cluj-Napoca expanded, the city planner saw potential in the land adjacent to the forest. Despite the warnings and superstitions of the townspeople, construction began on a new educational institution, one that was to become Hoia Baciu High School. The project was fraught with delays and accidents. Workers reported seeing shadowy figures at the edge of the forest. Tools would go missing only to reappear in impossible places, and some even claimed to hear disembodied whispers in the dead of night. When the school finally opened its doors in 1905, it was hailed as a triumph of modern education. Yet, from the beginning, strange incidents plagued the institution. Students and teachers alike spoke of cold spots in the hallways, lights flickering without cause, and the unsettling feeling of being watched. The most unnerving tales came from those who ventured into the basement, where it was said the walls would whisper secrets from another time. The first major incident occurred in 1923, when a group of students decided to explore the basement on a dare. Only one of them returned. His hair turned white from fright, and his eyes filled with unspeakable terror. He babbled incoherently about a shadow man who had chased them through the labyrinthine corridors. The others were never found, and the survivor was committed to an asylum where he remained until his death, never recovering from the trauma. Despite these events, the school continued to operate, its reputation for academic excellence overshadowed by the growing number of unexplained disappearances and encounters with the supernatural. Over time, the stories of Hoia Baciu High School became part of the local folklore, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the edge of reason. As the years passed, the school's history became a magnet for paranormal enthusiasts and thrill-seekers, each eager to uncover the truth behind the legends. But for the students and faculty who walked its halls every day, the reality was far more terrifying than any ghost story. They lived with the knowledge that something ancient and malevolent had taken root in their school, a presence that could not be explained or exorcised, only endured. In 1997, a new headmaster, Mihai Ionescu, took over the reins of Hoia Baciu High School. Determined to dispel the myths and restore the school's tarnished reputation, he initiated a series of renovations, hoping to bring light and modernity to the darkened corridors. But as the construction crews dug deeper, they uncovered something that had been buried and forgotten, an ancient, sealed well at the center of the basement, inscribed with symbols of protection and warning. It was then that Mihai realized the true nature of the curse that plagued his school. The well was a gateway, a portal to a realm of shadows and lost souls, and by disturbing it, they had unleashed a force that had been contained for centuries. As the veil between worlds grew thinner, the hauntings intensified. Students reported seeing ghostly figures walking the halls at night, and the whispers in the basement became louder, more insistent. Desperate to stop the madness, Mihai sought the help of a local historian and occult expert, Dr. Elena Popescu. Together, they delved into the history of the land and the forest, uncovering a ritual that was performed by ancient villagers to protect their homes from the malevolent spirits of the forest. But time was running out. The boundary between the school and the otherworldly realm was collapsing, and the hauntings were becoming more violent. Mihai and Elena knew that they had to perform the ritual again, to seal the well and restore the balance between worlds. On a cold, moonless night, they gathered in the basement, armed with ancient texts and protective charms. As they began the ritual, the air grew thick with the presence of unseen entities. Shadows writhed and twisted around them, and the whispers became a deafening roar. With a final desperate incantation, they sealed the well and the school. During the late 1980s, Hoia Baciu High School experienced a period of unprecedented growth. With its reputation for academic excellence, students from across Romania and even neighboring countries flocked to its doors. The school expanded its facilities, including the construction of new dormitories to accommodate the influx of students. Despite the eerie tales that lingered in the background, the allure of a top-tier education overshadowed any fears. The dormitories, situated on the edge of the school grounds, were a bustling hive of teenage energy. Laughter and chatter filled the hallways, and friendships blossomed within the shared spaces. Yet, as night descended, a different atmosphere took hold, one of apprehension and dread. It began subtly at first. Students would wake in the middle of the night, feeling an inexplicable chill in the air. Some reported hearing soft, indistinct murmurs coming from the hallways, even when they knew everyone was asleep. These whispers seemed to grow louder and more coherent as the hours ticked by, often calling out names in a voice that was both familiar and foreign. One night, a group of friends, Anna, Bogdan, and Christina, decided to stay up late, sharing ghost stories and daring each other to explore the dormitory basement, which was rumored to be the epicenter of the hauntings. Armed with flashlights and bravado, they made their way down the creaky stairs. The basement was a maze of old storage rooms, long-forgotten furniture, and shadows that seemed to move just out of the corner of their eyes. As they ventured deeper, Anna suddenly felt a cold hand brush against her shoulder. She spun around, but there was no one there. Her friends laughed it off, attributing it to nerves, but the unease was palpable. They pressed on, drawn by a strange compulsion to uncover the source of the whispers. Reaching the heart of the basement, they stumbled upon a door they had never seen before. It was old and weathered, with a heavy padlock hanging from it. Bogdan, always the brave one, decided to force it open. With a loud snap, the lock broke, and the door creaked open, revealing a small, dimly lit room. Inside, they found a series of old desks and chairs, arranged in a circle. The air was thick with dust, and the walls were covered in strange markings, symbols they couldn't decipher. In the center of the room was a large, cracked mirror that seemed to draw their gaze. As they stared into it, the room around them seemed to shift and change, the boundaries of reality blurring. Suddenly, the mirror's surface rippled, and ghostly figures began to emerge. They were translucent, their faces contorted in expressions of sorrow and anger. The figures reached out, their hands passing through the glass as if it were water. Anna, Bogdan, and Christina froze in terror as the apparitions began to whisper their names, the sound echoing around the room. Panicking, they turned to flee, but the door slammed shut with a force that shook the walls. The ghosts grew more agitated, their whispers rising to a cacophony of anguished cries. Desperate, Anna remembered the protective charm her grandmother had given her, a small silver amulet inscribed with ancient symbols. She clutched it tightly and began to recite a prayer under her breath. As she spoke, the room seemed to lighten, the oppressive atmosphere lifting slightly. The ghosts recoiled, their forms flickering and fading. With a final burst of courage, Bogdan threw his weight against the door, and it flew open. They raced up the stairs, not daring to look back until they were safely in the brightly lit hallway of the dormitory. Out of breath and shaken, they vowed never to speak of what they had seen, but the experience left a mark on them, a lingering fear that would never fully dissipate. The hauntings in the dormitory continued, growing more intense with each passing year. Students whispered about the basement and the cursed mirror, but few dared to venture down to see it for themselves. As the school year progressed, more students reported encounters with the ghosts. Some saw shadowy figures standing at the foot of their beds. Others heard footsteps pacing the halls in the dead of night. The whispers grew louder, the cold spots more frequent. It was as if the spirits were growing restless, their cries for attention becoming impossible to ignore. Despite the growing fear, the administration dismissed the reports as mere superstition, a product of overactive imaginations. But those who had seen the ghosts knew the truth. Hoia Baciu High School was a place where the past and present collided, where the boundaries between the living and the dead were perilously thin. And in the dim recesses of the basement, the cracked mirror remained. In the dim recesses of the basement, the cracked mirror remained, a silent witness to the horrors it had reflected and a portal to the restless spirits. Trapped within its glassy depths, the students who had dared to venture there spoke in hushed tones about their experiences, but the administration continued to turn a blind eye, dismissing their fears as mere fabrications. However, the hauntings were about to escalate in ways no one could ignore. It was a crisp autumn night when the full moon cast an eerie glow over the dormitory. The air was heavy, with an unsettling stillness, as if the entire school was holding its breath. In room 213, a group of students gathered for a late-night study session. Among them were Anna, Bogdan, and Christina, still haunted by their previous encounter, but unwilling to let fear control their lives. As the clock struck midnight, the temperature in the room plummeted. The lights began to flicker and an oppressive silence fell over them. The students exchanged nervous glances, their breaths visible in the suddenly frigid air. The whispers started softly at first, indistinct and distant, but they quickly grew louder and more insistent. Bogdan, trying to maintain his composure, suggested they ignore it, attributing the phenomena to the old building's quirks. But Christina, who had become more attuned to the supernatural since their basement ordeal, felt a growing sense of dread. She urged them to leave the room and seek safety in numbers, but her pleas were interrupted by a loud bang from the hallway. The door to their room swung open violently, slamming against the wall with a force that shook the floor. Standing in the doorway was a spectral figure, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The apparition stepped forward, its form wavering and translucent, but there was no mistaking the malice in its expression. Anna clutched her grandmother's amulet, muttering a prayer under her breath. The ghost paused, its gaze shifting to the silver charm, before letting out a blood-curdling scream that reverberated through the walls. The students scrambled to their feet, driven by a primal instinct to flee, but the ghost blocked their path, its presence growing more tangible and threatening with each passing moment. In the chaos, a thought struck Anna. Perhaps the spirits were trying to communicate something, a message lost in their anguish. Summoning her courage, she stepped forward, holding the amulet high. "Tell us what you want," she demanded, her voice trembling but resolute. "Why are you haunting us?" The ghost's form flickered, and for a brief moment, it seemed less menacing. It pointed a translucent hand towards the direction of the basement before vanishing into thin air. The students were left in stunned silence, the oppressive cold lifting as quickly as it had descended. Realizing they had no choice but to confront the source of the hauntings once more, Anna, Bogdan, Christina, and their friends made their way to the basement. The journey felt like an eternity, each step echoing with the weight of their fear and determination. When they reached the basement, the door to the hidden room stood ajar as if inviting them in. The cracked mirror loomed ominously, its surface shimmering with an unholy light. Anna stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest, and placed the amulet against the mirror. Immediately, the room was filled with a blinding light, and the spectral figures began to emerge from the mirror once again. This time, however, they were not hostile. Their faces, though still sorrowful, held a glimmer of hope. They began to speak, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of pleas and regrets. Through the chaos, Anna discerned a single word repeated over and over: release. Dr. Elena Popescu, who had been researching the school's dark history, had once mentioned a ritual to lay restless spirits to rest. Anna quickly recounted the steps, instructing her friends to form a circle around the mirror. They joined hands, reciting the incantations Elena had shared. As they chanted, the room grew warmer, and the spirits' cries softened. The mirror's surface shimmered, then cracked further, before finally shattering into countless pieces. A wave of energy pulsed through the room, and the spirits began to dissolve, their forms dissipating like mist in the morning sun. When the last specter faded, the room fell silent. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a sense of peace and finality. The students, though shaken, felt an overwhelming relief wash over them. They had done it. They had freed the spirits trapped within the mirror and broken the curse that had plagued Hoia Baciu High School for generations. The next day, Hoia Baciu High School buzzed with whispers and rumors. The students who had been involved in the ordeal could hardly believe what they had experienced. Some were skeptical, attributing the previous night's events to a collective hallucination or elaborate prank. But for Anna, Bogdan, Christina, and their friends, the memory was vivid and undeniable. Dr. Elena Popescu arrived at the school, her presence a mixture of relief and curiosity. She examined the shattered mirror and listened intently as the students recounted their encounter. With a solemn nod, she confirmed that the ritual had indeed succeeded in releasing the spirits trapped within. News of the incident spread quickly, and the administration could no longer ignore the supernatural occurrences that had plagued the school for years. They vowed to investigate further and ensure the safety of the students and staff. The basement was sealed off temporarily as experts conducted thorough examinations, searching for any remnants of the paranormal activity. In the weeks that followed, the atmosphere at Hoia Baciu High School gradually returned to normal. The students who had faced the spirits together formed a bond forged in shared fear and courage. Anna, Bogdan, and Christina became local celebrities of sorts, known for their bravery in confronting the unknown. As for the cracked mirror, it was never replaced. Instead, it remained a stark reminder of the school's haunted past, a testament to the resilience of those who dared to challenge the supernatural forces that had once held sway. Though the memory of that night lingered, the students of Hoia Baciu High School found solace in knowing that they had not only survived the haunting, but had also brought closure to the restless spirits that had long tormented their school. The escalating strangeness at Hoia Baciu High School reached a terrifying crescendo as more inexplicable incidents unfolded. Students whispered in fear about classmates inexplicably hurling themselves from the highest floors, their actions defying reason and chilling those who witnessed the aftermath. Others seemed to descend into madness, their once bright minds clouded by confusion and paranoia. The atmosphere within the school grew increasingly oppressive. Shadows seemed to linger longer, and eerie noises echoed through empty corridors. Teachers and staff exchanged concerned glances, but struggled to comprehend the inexplicable occurrences plaguing their once vibrant institution. As time passed, students became sparse, their numbers dwindling as families withdrew their children amid growing concerns for their safety and well-being. Rumors swirled among the remaining few, tales of restless spirits and cursed ground haunting the very halls they once walked without fear. Eventually, the decision to close Hoia Baciu High School was made, though official statements offered no clear explanation. The gates were locked, windows boarded up, and the building left to stand as a silent sentinel to the mysteries and tragedies that befell its inhabitants. Years later, Hoia Baciu High School remains abandoned, a dark and foreboding relic of its past. Local legends speak of the cursed grounds where the veil between the living and the dead is thin, cautioning curious souls from venturing too close. The stories of what happened within its walls continue to intrigue and unsettle, a testament to the enduring power of the unknown and the price paid for those who dare to delve too deep into its secrets. The haunting occurrences at Hoia Baciu High School could indeed trace their origins to the ancient forest adjacent to the school, where unmarked graves of alleged witches and practitioners of magic lay hidden for centuries. Legends whispered of a time long ago when these individuals, feared and misunderstood, were condemned to death for their perceived powers. Before their executions, they cursed the surrounding land and anyone who dared disturb their final resting places. Over time, the forest became a place of eerie energy, where the boundary between the natural and supernatural blurred. The curses whispered among the trees found their way to the nearby school, influencing the minds of its inhabitants and seeding discord and despair. As the curses took hold, students began to exhibit strange behaviors, some driven to desperate acts, others losing touch with reality. The oppressive atmosphere within the school mirrored the dark intentions of those long-dead individuals, their vengeful spirits lingering and wreaking havoc on anyone who dared to ignore their warnings. Despite efforts to rationalize the phenomena, the weight of history and the restless spirits proved too potent to ignore. With each passing day, the influence of the curses grew stronger, until the once thriving school became a ghostly shadow of its former self. Ultimately, the decision to close Hoia Baciu High School was a desperate attempt to contain the malevolent forces that had taken root. The closure, however, did little to quell the stories and legends that persisted, cautioning future generations about the dangers of disturbing ancient spirits and the consequences of forgetting the sins of the past. Today, Hoia Baciu High School stands as a cautionary tale, a testament to the enduring power of curses and the lingering echoes of history that continue to haunt those who dare to tread too close to its dark and troubled legacy. Welcome to Midnight Horror Channel. We would like to express our sincere thanks to all those who have supported us before. Your interest and support have been invaluable in helping our channel grow. A special welcome to those who are new to the channel. We hope you will find entertaining and thrilling experiences here. Join us in sharing our passion for horror genre through each episode and exciting content in the future.